Do you know what the most common disease of our time is? Not cancer, not diabetes. It's relationships born out of the fear of loneliness. Look around. How many couples stay together not because they want to, but because they're afraid? Afraid to be alone. Afraid that no one else will come along. Afraid of judgment. Afraid of the silence in an empty apartment. These people aren't living. They're hiding. Hiding behind their partner's back from their greatest fear, meeting themselves. And society supports them. At least you're not alone, they say. It's hard to find a good man these days. Take what you can get, advise the friends. You're already 30. It's time to settle down with someone, pressure the parents. Anything but being alone. As long as someone's there. As long as the relationship status says, in a relationship. No matter with whom, no matter the compromises, no matter that you're losing yourself a little more each day. A man who lives alone has seen this epidemic. And he said, "Not me. Not this time. You think loneliness is the worst thing that can happen to a person? You're wrong. The worst thing is being in a relationship and still feeling alone. Sleeping in the same bed, but living on different planets. Sharing a roof but speaking different languages. The worst thing is waking up every day next to someone who doesn't see you, doesn't see your dreams, doesn't understand your fears, doesn't hear what you don't say out loud. The worst thing is slowly, day by day, becoming less of yourself. Giving up your interests because she's bored. Hiding your thoughts because she wouldn't understand. Dimming your light so she doesn't feel like she's in your shadow. A man who lives alone knows this cost. Maybe he's already paid it. Maybe he's seen others pay it. And he decided, the price is too high. Better to be alone and whole than together and broken into pieces. A man who lives alone hasn't lost faith in love. Quite the opposite. He believes in it so deeply that he refuses to settle for an imitation. He's not waiting for perfection. He's no fool. He knows perfect people don't exist. Everyone has flaws, wounds, quirks. But he's waiting for someone who makes him more of himself. Not less, more. More is when you can be weak without being despised. When you can be strong without provoking competition. When your ambitions don't scare her, but inspire her. When her ambitions don't threaten you, but lift you up. More is when silence between you isn't awkward, but comforting. When there's no need to fill the space with meaningless chatter. When you can just be each doing your own thing, and that's closeness. More is when you can share your dream, no matter how crazy, and hear not, that's unrealistic, but how can I help? More is when conflict doesn't destroy, but strengthens, because you both know how to tell the truth, even when it hurts. Because the goal isn't to win, it's to understand. He's waiting for someone who will be a partner, not a patch for the hole in his soul. Someone who will come into his life, not to fill the emptiness, but to share the fullness. Most people look for someone who will make their life better. A wise person looks for someone with whom their already good life will become magnificent. See the difference? The first ones are looking for a savior. They enter relationships broken, empty, incomplete, and expect the other person to fix them, fill them, complete them. But that's not how it works. Two broken people don't make one whole. They create even more chaos. Their wounds resonate, their fears multiply, their emptiness echoes back at each other. A wise person becomes whole first. He walks his own path. He heals his wounds, or at least stops bleeding from them. He fills his life with meaning, without expecting anyone else to bring that meaning from outside. And only then, only when he's already whole, is he ready for a real meeting. A meeting not of two halves, but of two complete people who choose to walk side by side. A man who lives alone may be walking exactly that path. He isn't waiting for someone to come and save him from loneliness. He's making his life full on his own. He's becoming the kind of person he himself would enjoy living with. And when he becomes that person, he'll meet someone like him. Not before. The fear of being alone versus the fear of losing yourself. Every person carries two fears. The first, being alone. The second, losing yourself in a relationship. Most people fear the first more. That's why they agree to any relationship. They're willing to give up who they are, just so they're not alone. But there are others who fear the second one more. They've seen what happens when you give yourself up for the sake of a relationship. They've seen bright, interesting people turn into shadows of themselves. They've seen a man whose eyes once burned with life become a tired provider with no dreams. They've seen a woman with ambitions become the service staff of someone else's life. For these people, losing themselves is far more terrifying than being alone. Far more terrifying. A man who lives alone has chosen himself, not out of selfishness, out of wisdom. He's understood something simple. If you lose yourself in a relationship, what can you possibly give to another person? Emptiness, resentment, a quiet hatred toward the one you blame for the death of your own dreams. He doesn't want that kind of relationship. He doesn't want to become that victim, or turn someone else into the victim of his unrealized desires. That's why he waits. He waits for the one next to whom he won't have to choose between himself and the relationship. The one with whom the choice will sound like this: both. Me and us. Do you know why people are so desperate to fix up those who are single? Why the existence of a content, solitary person makes others so uneasy? Because they are a living reproach. Every happy single person is a reminder to an unhappy couple of the choice they themselves made. A reminder that they could have chosen differently, that they could have waited, that they could have said no to society's pressure. When someone lives alone and doesn't look miserable, it shatters a myth. The myth that happiness is only possible in a couple. The myth that any relationship is better than none. And those who built their lives on that myth can't stand it. They need singles to suffer. They need them to envy. They need proof that their own choice, as long as I'm not alone, was the right one. But a man who lives alone and lives well denies them that proof. He's living evidence that you don't have to play by the rules, that you can wait for something real, that you can refuse the counterfeit. And for that, they hate him. Quietly, unconsciously, hiding it behind concern and pity. A man who lives alone may regret many things. A relationship that never happened, time passing, cold evenings, an empty apartment. But you know what he never regrets? That he didn't settle for just so he wouldn't be alone. He doesn't regret not marrying the woman who was a decent option. He doesn't regret not staying with the one who was fine, I guess. He doesn't regret not building a family on a foundation of fear and compromise. Because he's seen how those stories end. He's seen 40-year-old men look at their wives and think, "Who is this stranger living in my house?" He's seen couples who stay together for the kids. poisoning those kids with the atmosphere of a Cold War. He doesn't regret staying honest with himself. He doesn't regret not deceiving himself or someone else by starting a relationship without real feeling. Yes, he's alone, but he's whole. Yes, he feels lonely sometimes, but he's not lost. Yes, he's waiting, but he hasn't lowered his standards to good enough. What is he really looking for? He's not looking for a woman to cook dinner. He can cook for himself. He's not looking for a woman to create coziness. He can make it himself. He's not looking for a woman to have children. Children are the result of love, not its purpose. He's not looking for a woman who looks good in photos. Photos lie. He's looking for a person with whom he can talk about what's real, about fears, about dreams, about the meaning of life, about God, about death, about the things most couples never talk about. A person who will see him, not the mask of a successful man, not the social role, but his real self, with all the cracks, doubts, and weaknesses, and won't be afraid of it. A person next to whom he can be vulnerable, without fearing that this vulnerability will be used against him in the first argument. A person who will grow, not stagnate. Who, 10 years from now, will be deeper, wiser, more interesting, not just older. A person with whom silence feels full, not empty. With whom you can just sit and watch the fire. And it will be better than the opera with someone else. He's looking for a meeting. A true meeting of two souls. The kind that happens once in a lifetime, if it happens at all. And he's ready to wait a lifetime for it. But not to settle for less. The price he pays. Don't think this choice comes easily. Living alone when everyone around you is coupled, it's hard. It's showing up at friends' weddings and seeing the question in their eyes. Why are you still single? It's hearing your parents say, "We'd like to see our grandchildren while we're still alive," and not knowing what to answer. It's getting sick and realizing there's no one to bring you water. No one to call in the middle of the night when anxiety hits. No one to simply hold you when the world feels too cruel. It's spending New Year's Eve in front of the TV while the whole world celebrates in pairs. It's the quiet understanding that if you died tomorrow, your body would be found only days later, when the neighbors noticed the smell. A man who lives alone pays that price, every day, consciously, because the alternative costs more. The alternative is living a lifetime with the wrong person, and never knowing what real feels like. What if he's wrong? Maybe he is. Maybe the one doesn't exist. Maybe all this talk about a true meeting is just romantic nonsense, and reality is compromise and adjustment. Maybe he expects too much from life. Maybe he should have said yes to that good girl, with whom things were basically fine, and built a normal, average life. Maybe. But even if he's wrong, he's made his choice. A conscious choice. If a man lives alone, it means one thing. He refuses to settle for anyone just so I'm not alone. He believes that somewhere out there is a person, next to whom he will become more of himself, not less. A person who will be a partner in the truest sense of the word, not just an escape from loneliness. And he's ready to wait, ready to pay the price, ready to withstand society's pressure and the misunderstanding of loved ones. Because for him, the quality of presence matters more than the fact of it. If you liked this video, please support it with a like, a subscription, or a comment. Your support helps this message reach those who need to hear it right now.